Ladies and gentlemen, while America struggles, Joe Biden is jetting off to St. Croix for yet another luxury vacation. His 570th day away from the White House. That's right, nearly 40% of his presidency spent on vacation. But tonight, we're exposing something even more shocking. New photos have emerged showing Biden meeting with Hunter's Chinese business partners just days before leaving office as vice president. Meanwhile, homelessness rates are skyrocketing, our borders in chaos, and Americans can barely afford groceries. Even CNN is now asking if Biden will be remembered as nothing more than the guy who was just in between the Trump terms. And just as Americans are suffering under Biden's policies, millions are suffering from daily aches and pains. But there is hope. Top medical experts have unveiled Conolidine, a revolutionary 100% drug-free solution that optimizes your body's natural painkillers. Already trusted by over 1 million Americans and professional athletes, Conolidine is legal worldwide and proven safe through 14 years of clinical research. Unlike dangerous pills, it causes no side effects or addiction. And you can try it today for less than $1 a day at trycono.com/NNN. It's linked down below. Don't let pain control your life. You've got nothing to lose but your pain. Okay, lots to get into right now. President Trump has a mandate to secure the border. No amount of Trump proofing can change that. Eric Schmidt posting this.
By the way, if it's executive order, President Trump can undo that. If it's some sort of administrative rule, Congress can come in under the Congressional Review Act and reverse that. I haven't seen that specifically, but this is Joe Biden on the way out doing what he did on the way in, which was reversing all the success we had under President Trump. There were 94 executive orders that Joe Biden did in the first 100 days to undo that success. President Trump, I would expect, as he alluded to in that clip, to come in and secure the border, bring back Remain in Mexico. You're going to see deportations of these illegal immigrants that are terrorizing our communities, the flood of fentanyl that's coming in and killing our neighbors, our brothers, our sisters, our cousins. And so President Trump ran on this. This was part of his mandate. It's part of the reason why he swept all the battleground states and won the popular vote. The American people don't want to see an open border. These aren't just white papers anymore, John. These people got in charge and they wreaked havoc on our country. And President Trump's coming in and Holman's coming in, and they're going to do what they said they were going to do, which is deport these criminals who are taking over apartment complexes, lighting people on fire on New York subways. I mean, we saw that news yesterday. I mean, this stuff's nuts, and I think the American people are going to welcome this.
Well, the American people are certainly waiting for President Trump. Here we have this young lady. Wait till you hear what she has to say. Worst president our country has ever seen.
On. Biden, not only are you the worst president in the history of our country, you don't deserve to hold the title of president. From now on, I think that everybody should address you as Mr. Biden. But what is your legacy going to be? I'll tell you exactly what it's going to be. You will first off be remembered as the guy who didn't make the cut in 2016. It would have made sense for you to run for president in 2016 because you were coming off of being Obama's VP. You didn't make the cut in 2016 because Hillary Clinton at that time was a stronger candidate than you. Then you reemerge in 2020 and claim the presidency and become the absolute worst president that our country has ever seen. Out of all the people who have been president, going back to George Washington, you take the cake for the worst, the most incompetent, the most foolish president, and the absolute worst administration that this nation has ever seen. Full of liars, thieves, and hypocrites. Biden not only...
I wonder who she voted for, right? We got 28 days, 24 days until true leadership is back. Crooked Joe Biden and Jill arrive in St. Croix in the Virgin Islands for a week in the sun at the taxpayers' expense. Biden has spent 570 days, nearly 40% of his entire presidency on vacation. Thanks, Joe. Leading report following up. Yes, Biden spent nearly 40% of his presidency on vacation. And here we have this: rules for thee and not for me. Basically, the Biden legacy at this point. New York Post releasing this just 10 hours ago. Feds finally release photos showing then VP Biden meeting son Hunter's Chinese business partners days before he leaves office. Remember they said this never happened? Oh, I never talked to Hunter's business partners. Oh, there they are. There's the photographic proof. More lies from this administration. Is anyone surprised by this 7 hours ago? I know I'm not. Emily Bobkler says Biden was practically a Chinese operative. Perhaps his legacy will be POTUS, who allowed the most spies into the United States. Did you see this headline? Chinese operatives and spies continue to be arrested in the United States. Wait a minute. Wonder why that would be. Oh, Joe Biden's Chinese ties. Just let all those Chinese spies in. The latest includes 2 Chinese spies in California and several arrested in Guam near a U.S. military base. Spy games. Chinese operatives arrested in California and Guam as espionage concerns rise. Thank you, Joe. Thank you for all your work with China. Joe Biden's legacy. Ironic that he and his wife are enjoying themselves in St. Croix on another vacation. Homelessness rates jumped by double digits in 2024 as Americans battled to afford housing. So homelessness is up by double digits during the Biden final year. And then we have this, a reminder that Biden's on vacation. The new $1.25 billion to Ukraine was decided by deep state actors, not Biden. Eric Darty reporting this. So Biden's on vacation, and somehow people are deciding to send more money to Ukraine. Who's making those decisions? Hunter? And this is good news. More destruction of the Biden legacy. January 6th, that day where they took political prisoners, Joe Biden took political prisoners. Well, now they've launched a $50 billion class action lawsuit. MAGA Voice reporting. He says, pardon and compensate all J6 patriots. This is a massive win. This looks like it is, maybe it's from the Gateway Pundit. January 6th, political prisoners launched historic $50 billion class action lawsuit against the DOJ. Oh, yeah. We also have this. This is good news. Florida State Representative Hillary Cassell announces she's switching from the Democrat Party to the Republican Party. This is another sign of the Biden legacy crumbling, the Democrat Party crumbling. People are jumping ship. They do not want to be associated with that party anymore. Meanwhile, we have Rolling Stone, Julie Kelly posting this 12 hours ago. Confirmed reports that Jack Smith, his prosecutors, and even staffers are lawyering up and terrified about the prospect of a Trump DOJ investigation into the special counsel's office. Another artifact of the Biden administration and the lawfare against President Trump. I wonder why they'd want to lawyer up. Did they do something wrong? Maybe they should be seeking pardons from Joe Biden. Get on that list, right? Let's take a deeper look at this. Multiple people, she reports, Julie Kelly, multiple people who work with Smith and his core team have preemptively reviewed their private and professional communications to make sure they hadn't written anything that could be subpoenaed, publicly revealed, and used against them to paint a narrative of alleged misconduct or supposed anti-Trump bias. Smith and his team of thugs are considering how to protect their assets, including their spouses, and prevent going bankrupt. Wow. They should be terrified. After what they did? She continues to quote here, some federal investigators, including more junior staff, have talked to attorneys and legal groups about possible ways a rejuvenated Trump Justice Department could try to make their lives hell. They're worried about their lives being made hell. What about the Trump family's lives that were made hell during that Biden administration, during that campaign? Oh, makes me so mad. They're looking at what precautionary measures they should take and even how to avoid going bankrupt if the revenge probes come in full force. That's according to the source. Hunters are now the hunted, and it is about time. Oh, talk about retribution, my friends. It's coming. It's coming. Now, I know Donald Trump said that his retribution, his revenge will be his success. But what's going to happen with Kash Patel and Pam Bondi at the head of the DOJ and the FBI? Oh, yeah, they're just doing some investigating into some previous work done by the previous administration. Let's see what they uncover. And now they're lawyering up. We report on this, too. The other day, Lindy Lee's exit from the Democrat Party, describing it as like leaving a cult. But, of course, they all said that MAGA was the cult. Remember that? And here's the video of Joe Biden heading out to the Virgin Islands, getting ready to take the short stairs up Air Force One. But Lawrence O'Donnell seems to be concerned, as well as Pete Buttigieg. This is like ridiculous. They're afraid that Trump will take credit for Biden's tunnel from New York to New Jersey. They're worried about that. Paul Zapula says, I'm pretty sure Trump could care less about a tunnel. He cares about deporting illegals, securing our border, fixing our economy, and ending war.
You call it the Biden tunnel. Construction began this year on the new tunnel. For the next 100 years, people will be driving through that tunnel and they will have no idea who did that. They should call it the Biden tunnel. Secretary Pete Buttigieg is back with us, and you know Donald Trump is going to take credit for that tunnel.
Absolutely. I mean, look, we've created a pipeline of good projects that are going to play out over the next few years.
Construction began.
Oh, spare me, Lawrence O'Donnell. Stop the hammering! Oh, boy. This is great. I'm willing to bet all the stories of Biden being mentally incapacitated are leaking from Kamala's team. They're both trying to destroy each other and taking the party with them. Bob Ward and Tim Young commenting, likely on that Wall Street Journal report. And here we have the former Obama fundraiser exposing the Democrats, once the party of the working class and free speech, now hijacked by big tech and radical leftists from censorship to woke policies. The realignment is undeniable. Is this the end of the Democrat Party?
In California,
the presidential prospects of 2028.
So, Allison, all of these names are failed governors, and the so-called moderates couldn't even deliver Kamala Harris their states, and yet this is who they're relying on. What are your thoughts on that?
Well, if you're not doing a good job with your local politics or your state politics, like the state of California, Gavin Newsom has not been doing a very good job. Look at our homeless situation. Look at the economy in California. A lot of companies have been relocating to Florida and Texas. So if you're not doing a good job in your state or your city, you should not be promoted to the national level, bottom line.
So just to follow up with you, Allison, because, you were an Obama fundraiser, and now you are completely frustrated with the Democratic Party. So what attracted you to the Democrats in the first place that no longer keeps you in their camp?
That's a really good question. I believe that there's a realignment. It used to be the Democratic Party. The Dems were supporting the working class, the middle class. It was the party of free speech, no censorship. And yet now the tables have turned. They're in cahoots with big tech. Look at what they did during the election and suppressing certain information about Donald Trump. When you search for Donald Trump, Kamala Harris came up on Google. When you try to search for the Joe Rogan podcast, it was very difficult to find on YouTube. So there is now a realignment. And basically, they've allowed the radical left to hijack the party.
Well,
Katie,
Go ahead.
I'm a soccer mom. I run the team school board in Silicon Valley. And when I have these radical activists interrupt me during my school board meeting, I shut them down. We have to focus on practical matters. We need to pay the teachers. We need to pay the school bus drivers. We need to provide curriculum, practical science and math, literature for our children, not this DEI woke stuff that's very divisive.
Yeah,
and so in these school boards,
solving real problems for the people that they represent Exactly. So, Charlie, she speaks of the far left.
A former Obama fundraiser defecting to the Republican Party. That's how bad it is. And here we have a CNN panelist dropping a bombshell. Biden risks being remembered as the guy who was just in between the Trump terms as his approval ratings fall.
Signed off on there to burnish them. Isaac, if you look at the legislative record, particularly the first 2 years, it doesn't have much precedent over the course of the last 5 decades, right? And that's a lot of what they've been doing in the last couple of months, has been trying to push out all the money that was already signed off on there to burnish that legacy. But in terms of how people view the president right now, I think what's stunning to me, the latest Quinnipiac University poll, his approval is at 38% right now. In December of 2020, Donald Trump's approval, after he'd lost the election, was 44%. Now, that was pre-January 6. After January 6, his approval was 34%. That's kind of within the margin of where Biden is right now. And Donald Trump had January 6th. Right. Legacy-wise, where are we right now, legacy-wise?
He had, I think you're right, a historic first couple years in office, more legislation on the domestic front than anybody going back to Lyndon Johnson can claim credit for. I do think that what you've seen is a slow receding into the bushes from Joe Biden here. I'm going to do it. I'm going to bring up a West Wing quote here. There's a moment on the West Wing when John Spencer, as Leo McGarry, the White House chief of staff, says he's like trying to rally the troops, and he says, we can do more, we can affect more change in one day in this building than we will in a lifetime after we leave the building. That is not the approach that Joe Biden has been taking, at least publicly, since the election, certainly, and even since he ceded the nomination to Kamala Harris. But there are things that he could be doing through executive authority. A lot of things that he could be doing would probably put a target on them for Donald Trump to go after first. It does not seem like taking another vacation now is the kind of running through the tape mentality that White House staff has said he and the whole building is approaching things with. I think it's a really difficult thing for Joe Biden to know that he came into the presidency as a rejection of Donald Trump, and here he is being replaced by Donald Trump. I think back to an interview that I did with Joe Biden. He'd been president for about 3 weeks. I was talking to him for a book that I wrote, and part of the takeaway that I had from it was him trying to assert himself as Joe Biden, the guy who got elected president, not just Barack Obama's vice president, not just the guy who beat Donald Trump. But now that is part of who he is, and it may define who he is. A couple weeks before the election, I had a conversation with a senior person in the White House, and I said, if Harris loses, most of the way that Biden is going to be remembered, at least in the short term, is the guy who was just in between the Trump terms. And the person's like, no, that's not true. At this moment, that is the way that he is acting.
Isaac?
The guy between two Trump terms. Yeah, just a placeholder. You know, had they just let him win that election, he wouldn't have had all this time to plot his return. And now, Joe Biden on vacation, the left, people jumping ship, and it's a beautiful thing to witness. We're almost there, folks. Keep your guard up, okay? The evidence that we have now presented paints a clear picture of Biden's failed presidency, from his endless vacations to his family's questionable business dealings, from skyrocketing homelessness to economic chaos. This is the real Biden legacy. Even his own party is jumping ship, with Florida State Rep. Hillary Cassell switching to the Republican Party. Meanwhile, Jack Smith and his prosecutors are lawyering up, terrified of what a Trump Justice Department might uncover. Yes, the walls are closing in, and Biden's response, another vacation in St. Croix, while Americans struggle to make ends meet. So here's tonight's question that's dividing the nation. When the history books are written, will Biden's presidency be remembered as the most catastrophic failure in American history, or just the most corrupt? Share your thoughts below. Stand against the Biden disaster with our exclusive Mag Avengers collection at shop.nextnewsnetwork.com. It is linked down below.